going on, everyone? Glue Guys are back here for another quick episode. It's just me today, so I'm going to be talking about some things that kind of got me riled up over the last little bit with regards to the NBA and just basketball in general. We've been a bit MIA lately as we create our plans for the future and the summer going forward, so hopefully you guys can just hang tight while we figure out everything that's going on. Don't forget to follow us on Instagram and add us on Facebook and keep up to date with all things that are going on. So I'm gonna do my best Tony Kornheiser impression today with my clipboard and some of my notes from what's been going on. So please bear with me. So I'm gonna talk about the coaching decisions late in games, specifically in that Denver game the other night, and a bit related to March Madness as well. And then I'm gonna be talking about reviews and out of bounds calls and how those have kind of gotten me upset in basketball in general. This is at the college level and the NBA. So beginning with the calls the coaching decisions late in the games. We saw in March Madness, Rick Barnes, a Tennessee coach, after his team inbounded the ball, they dribbled it out for a bit and he tried to advance the ball and call timeout. Again, wasted the whole clock and they were only left with 0.1 seconds left once the timeout was called. Mike Malone did a similar sort of thing after the rebound was grabbed by his team. They dribbled the ball out for a little bit and then he called a timeout, again wasting time. So I think for me that's the problem, is that coaches are calling timeouts when their team is grabbing the ball with under 5 to 7 seconds. I always advocate to Matt all the time, let your team play out with the clock, especially off a miss where in both situations they got the ball, or at least in the Nuggets situation. The opposing team is going to be scrambled. They just missed a shot. They're going to be trying to pick up their man in transition, keep the ball, run the floor, and see if you can make something happen in that 5 to 7 seconds. It's complete chaos, and have the advantage with the ball. You're going to have people leaking out. You're going to have outlets. So don't give the defensive team an advantage by calling a timeout. Now they can set up. If they have a timeout, they're going to see your look and then call a timeout again, and now it becomes a chess match, which you're probably not going to be able to win. Let alone, you've also put yourself at a disadvantage because you can't advance the ball anyways. So in doing so, they've wasted 3 to 4 seconds of their 5 to 7, and then now they have to push the whole floor. So really just, I think, some poor decision making from coaches in both the Tennessee case and the Nuggets case. So I think that's really poor. Also on that note, I'll say that I say this to Matt all the time again. I hate when teams do these Hail Mary passes. If many of you hopefully stayed up to watch that 4 overtime game, again, Hail Mary pass down the whole floor. I don't care if it's Jokic, I don't care who it is in the middle of the floor. They don't work. Teams aren't defending the inbounder because the pass has to be so far. Again, building off what I said before, they wasted time calling the timeout while their team grabbed the rebound, where they could have just let them push the floor. Now they've wasted a couple of seconds. They only have limited options, but throwing the ball down the floor I think is a very wasted opportunity. I like the idea of having a player run maybe from east to west, pick up the ball on the inbound, and then maybe just jack up a shot from half court. I think that's a much better realistic option. We have some players in the world who do this on a regular basis. We see Curry, Harden, guys like that hitting shots 24/7 from long range. So why not take a chance with one of your best players on the fly, on the run, when they know mentally that's what they're going to do. These Hail Mary passes don't work because teams aren't defending the inbounder, so they can just double up on the guy that's at the back end of the court, and again, interception every single time. Every single game, the same thing happens. So I'd like to see coaches move away from these decisions. I think that they got to trust their players a little more and trust their abilities and stop trying to fine tune and be so perfect. I think the game is, I understand it's at a crossroads, it's a very high point in the game, high intensity, but at the same time, you have great players who can make decisions, on the fly 24/7. Let them do that, especially when you have the ball. Don't allow the defense a chance to set up. You really hinder your ability to do something. So that's more so the lesser issue that I kind of want to touch on quickly from the 4 overtime game. I'm kind of just seeing in March Madness as well. The main reason I'm here with all these notes, again, is the review and out of bounds plays have been absolutely atrocious. So beginning with the reviews in general, again, pulling back from this Denver and Portland game, when CJ McCollum knocks the ball out of Jamal Murray's hands, it was ruled to be Nuggets ball to start, which I think no one would have complained with. It's a very normal thing to do. But then McCollum kind of nonchalantly asked for a review, and then the ref decides, okay, let's review it. McCollum's teammates kind of followed suit after he requested the review. But again, I think the fact that it was very nonchalant shows that he didn't really think they were going to get the ball anyways. So my big problem here is that the refs have lost their integrity. They're so quick to go to the review and just check everything. The last 2 minutes, everything's up for debate. Everyone puts their fingers up in the air. They're going like this. Everyone wants a review 24/7. It's really hurting the integrity of the game. The games are taking longer. I'm not sure how many of you were able to watch some of the conference games before March Madness even started, but again, there was a lot of this in the last 2 minutes with teams asking for reviews. In one case in Arizona, they were actually booing. So I think that the refs have to maintain their integrity. They have to be confident in their calls, and just say, no, we're not reviewing it. We're going to keep going with the game. And I think that, the media, social media, the players' voices I know they're so powerful in the league, but at the same time, they've kind of put the refs in a spot where they're scared and they just rely on the review. They can make any call now. In the last 2 minutes, it doesn't matter because they know they're going to check it. So that's a big problem for me. But I think all the people out there who are saying, oh, Murray touched it last and, it should be Portland ball, whatever. I watched this game impartially, and I think that seeing this in the national championship game early in the year where Moretti has the ball, the Virginia player knocks it out of his hands and it slides off his fingernail or his pinky, whatever. Virginia gets the ball back. The Denver game, same sort of scenario. The ball rolls off Murray's fingers and then Portland gets the ball back. So my issue here is that the nature of the out of bounds rule is not to penalize the team that has the ball deflected off them. So I understand that, okay, if let's say the ball's going out, you catch it and then on your way out you throw it off someone, I call that a heady play. That's just me. But at the same time, it's just natural science that if you have the ball in your hand, attached to your hand, and someone knocks it out of your hand, you're gonna touch it last. So all these plays that they don't review throughout the game should have the same result, where the ball should be turned over every single time, not rewarded to the offensive team. So in the case of Murray, with the ball rolling off his pinky, there's nothing he can do about that. The nature of the rule is the person who propels the ball, the person who is responsible for placing the ball out of bounds, should be penalized, so to speak. But what happens here is the offensive players continually get penalized for having the ball knocked out, and then because the review is able to check this in the last 2 minutes, and the players are taking advantage of, like I said before, the refs' lack of integrity of their own calls and their own decision making, we're seeing offenses get penalized. And I think it's very detrimental to the game. It makes the game slower, but also it's kind of just disheartening. Like, it's not the reason the rule is in. The reason the out of bounds rule is in place is not for your pinkies and your fingertips, whatever. Like, I understand it's a part of the game, but that's not maintain the integrity of the game. And I'm saying this to anyone who disagrees with me, is that look at the rest of the game and think about science. If you have the ball knocked out of your hands and it's in your hands, every single time it should be the other team's ball, because no one's hand is coming all the way in to grab the ball from you. They're simply just poking it out. So every single time it's going to hit you last. So the fact that the call is inconsistent just because we get review doesn't maintain the integrity of the rule, and also hurts the game overall. So all the calls that happen in the middle of the game should also be reviewed, because I'm sure they would have the same result. Overall, it's just kind of disheartening, and I think that they need to find a way to sort of combat this. And I know that'd be very difficult, but it makes me very upset. It takes a long time, but also it just hurts the integrity of the game, and that's my big problem. So to tie this to something else for some people who may be interested in other sports, if you look at hockey, they have with the offside rule, the player's toe has to be touching the ground. If it's not touching the ground, then they'll be deemed offside. I know a lot of people have been upset with this. I'm in the same boat of people who have been upset, because the player doesn't gain any lateral advantage by having their foot down on the ice or off the ice. Their foot's still on the same plane, whether it's here or here. So I think that's another area where we're fine-tuning the game with these reviews, which is great to some instances, but I think that we have to look at the integrity of the game and how it's supposed to be called. If you look at baseball, this is why baseball is not going to, digital balls and strikes. This is why they've, defended their umps, because that's the fun of the game, is that the ump is able to decide day in and day out what I think is a ball, what I think is a strike, and that's why people watch. That's what we love to see. And the different personalities of the umps makes the game fun. But here in basketball and hockey specifically, we've reduced everything down to a review. And okay, his toe's not touching the line, so he's offside. Okay, this rolled off his pinky finger, but that's not the purpose of the rule. So, and I get in hockey that for a while, it's been your foot has to be down and whatever, but I just think if we're gonna now, enhance it to this degree where we can zoom in to however many pixels and slow the frame down and see that his toe's not touching by, maybe a millimeter, if that, it hurts the integrity of the game, and we're not allowing people to just, enjoy the game for what it is and see it in its wholehearted fashion. Everything is taking longer. So with the play, going back to Murray, every park, playground, street ball game around the world, Jamal Murray's team's getting the ball back. But with the ability of review, they lose the ball, and they ultimately lose the game. Now, I understand there's some plays that go off of that, but I think that was a real turning point. And overall, it's just kind of hurt the game. So I'm really disappointed with this. I'm really disappointed with the NBA and how I think they're losing some integrity in terms of the officials and then now these calls. So they really need to look at a way, and it's really incensed me. And same with college basketball. We've seen similar plays where it just sucks to see it. To be honest with you guys, it just really sucks to see it. So I want to thank you guys for listening and hearing my thoughts. I will be posting a sort of article version of this with kind of my thoughts and maybe a bit more in-depth analysis on the Blue Guys website. So we'll get that up for you guys. But thanks again for listening, and we'll catch you soon.